An amazing way to kick off college game day when it finally came to Berkeley. That was my co-host, Ahmad Anderson, the creator of Bear Territory, starting it off like nobody else can. Isn't it awesome to know that was recognized as the best college game day of the year and is widely celebrated as one of the best and most energetic college game days ever? But did you know that none of that would have happened and you would have never heard of Bear Territory if it hadn't been for his mom and Whiteout? That's just one amazing story you're going to want to hear in today's show. Welcome to Tell the Whole Damn World. It's Monday, May 18th, 2026. The Cal baseball team defeated Stanford 2-1 to claim the series in the senior day rubber match and final regular season game at the Stew on Saturday. And it's another great day to be a Bear. I'm your host, Reza Serafinejad. We appreciate you tuning in. We're the podcast that celebrates all things Cal. We produce on-camera interviews with the prominent people who are passionate about our university and our sports teams. And we share stories about the rich history and traditions of the University of California. If you're unabashedly and unapologetically all about Cal, you found the right place. We hope to put a smile on your face and help you come away feeling good about your connection to the greatest university on the planet. If you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, and watch us on YouTube. And please help grow this podcast by telling your friends and the whole damn world about us. It's hard for me to believe, but we're almost up to 100 episodes now, and we're hopeful to get a very special guest for that one. So stay tuned to see what we can make happen. Before we get into it today, I have two quick notes to share. One, I received a text from a wonderful friend of the family this past week that said the following. One of the most important things ever in my life happened a couple of weeks ago. I got accepted at 76 years old as a transfer student into the music department at Cal. All my life, I've said that I'm not smart enough to go to Cal. Last summer, I put that sentiment into a bucket, labeled it horseshit, applied, and here I am. I'm starting to learn why you love Cal so much. There are so many, many fabulous people that are willing to help in so many ways. Congratulations, my dear friend. I love hearing stories like that. And I want to give a very special shout out to one of the most devoted and passionate Cal fans I've ever met, Ellen Abaticola. She's a huge Golden Bear fan who has been a big fan of the podcast since the very beginning. And I don't know if I've ever met anyone who bleeds blue and gold more than she does. It was great fun to spend a little time with Ellen, my buddy Steve, and some of my good friends from high school at the Cal baseball game on Saturday. Today, we're going to reintroduce all of you to the man who inspired all of us. We interviewed Ahmad way back in episode 1, back when we were getting started over a year and a half ago and didn't have much of an audience. But we've grown a lot since then, and in looking at our recent stats, I can see that we have thousands and thousands of new viewers each month who are only just learning about us now, and that's just on YouTube alone. And quite honestly, if you don't know Ahmad's story, rising up from walk-on to being starter and defensive captain on the Cal football team, creating the most awesome rallying cry in the history of sports, to being on the board of directors of the Cal Alumni Association, well, you're in for a real treat today. So with the election coming up in early June, let's get to know my co-host and the man who has become my brother Ahmad, who, as all of you know by now, is running for mayor of Richmond. It's always great to see you, brother.
Good to see you, brother. And I appreciate the incredible opening and letting people throughout the world, telling the whole damn world what Bear Territory is all about. I really appreciate it and have much love and admiration for you.
Oh, thank you, my brother. I tell you, it's like each and every day I wake up and I'm just so grateful that I get to do this with you. It's just so much fun. And I got to say that, the idea for this came to me because we interviewed you way back with the very first episode. And
Yeah,
if any of you look back at that first episode, you'll see it was a little rough. You know, I was still trying to find my footing. Certainly wasn't nearly as confident as I am now. And you know, I was just in awe of you because I didn't really know you very well at all. So it did not come off really as polished as our latter episodes have been. So this is an opportunity for us to reintroduce you and tell you more about who you are and all of that. And I mean, just to kick things off, you're originally from Richmond, right?
I
So
am.
can you tell us about what the city of pride and purpose means to you?
I think City of Pride and Purpose means to me as a kid growing up. Um, City of Richmond was a very vibrant community. It was a place where people could eat, work, live, and play. It was a place where, you know, if you think about movies you see now, and there were pristine streets, there was manufacturing going on, there was a great port and hub, there were um, a lot of little league baseball teams going on, sponsored by small businesses here in this community. There were also opportunities for me to play on a Pop Warner football team called the Richmond Falcons, and now called the Richmond Steelers because one of the greatest steel companies was right here in the city of Richmond. Um, we are known for our incredible port, which is the deepest port here on on the West Coast, and in addition to that, we're known for a lot of manufacturing. Safeway used to be here. We had folks that were really just walking 15 minutes, driving 15 minutes from their home and going to work. Literally, when you look at old movies, you could see people could work there and then go home for lunch. We have an incredible postal service here in the city of Richmond. But over time, as the world changed, so did Richmond. And so it's a place where people don't necessarily eat, work, and live in and play in. We do those in other areas. And henceforth, one of the reasons why I'm running for Richmond, because pride for me means, you know, believing in your neighborhoods, believing that through public safety, you'll be protected, respected, and safe. That in an economy that even if the rest of the world is spinning too fast, that you'll be able to find a job here. And not just a job, but a career where you can um, earn a livable wage and then be able to have benefits for working families. And one of the other biggest crises of our country is not just affordable housing, but housing, reasonable housing, right? At every income level, because what's affordable in one person's neighborhood is not affordable in Berkeley where you live, Reza. And so we want to be able to meet people where they are, but we want to be able to let them know that they not only have refuge here in this city, but also a place where you'll be able to live, work, and play and not be gentrified and not be able to do all that in the city that you were born and raised.
Right. Right. No, well, I mean, I grew up right beside you there in El Cerrito. And, you know, when I think of Richmond, I think of the tremendous history that Richmond has enjoyed when you think about World War II and the
Yeah.
shipbuilding and Rosie
Yes.
the Riveter
Yes.
and, you know, all of that that goes along with it as well. And I have so many friends who grew up in Richmond. And, you know, I just still very fondly remember my times growing up and being in that area. And, you know, when I think of you, when I think of how much passion you have for the University of California, and then to hear you talk about how much passion you have for the city of Richmond, I mean, it's clear to me that you are going to be such an incredible champion for the city of Richmond. I mean, you are that guy. You bring it each and every day, and your work ethic and just how much you sincerely care about people. That's the thing that I think for those of you who don't know you, I mean, I don't know anybody who meets you and doesn't come away feeling like, wow, this person really sincerely cares about me. I think that's a great quality that you bring to the table. So,
Well, look, as a mayor, you know, we have a city manager run city, so they sort of run the departments, if you will. Um, But I like to say that my acronym, and since I created Bear Territory, we know what that is all about. But um, my acronym as mayor would be the bank, and bank would be BANC. The bank B would be for really the brand ambassador, really being the face of the city, representing the voice of the community, and that my actions reflective of our collective actions in the city, branding this city that we are open for a new change of leadership that's people centric focus. An advocate for growing the economy, responsible economy with um, developers, with environmentalists, with community voice interests, and making sure that those needs are met, but based upon the foundation of what are the needs, community benefits for the community, making sure that we are considered to be hired first, and working with builders and trades and making sure that there's opportunities for both the young men and women of today and being able to see a future, being able to go out in the world if you want to and come back to home, not as you left it, but as something that's bloomed and something that you want to be eager to give back to the community. And is networking, right? Networking along our shoreline here, right? Our beautiful shoreline, and how that relates to how commerce works to our city, how that relates to housing in our communities, how that relates to public safety, because with public safety, you want to live somewhere and feel safe in that community. With public safety, businesses will come there. With public safety, you'll be able to have parks that you can enjoy, not only in the daytime, but in the evening time as well, and then networking with other electeds in the community. A real plan, a strategy to make sure that it's almost seamless without losing the culture and the aesthetics of what makes those cities who they are, but being able to know that you can go from city to city and feel that vibe, that resilience, the history that makes us the East Bay. And lastly, being a conduit, really, that just electrifies and brings energy like I did to game day to a community where everybody wants to step up and say, I live in Richmond. I live in the Bay. And as E40 says, yay area, 100%. And that's what real Richmond is all about.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Well, hey, I want to talk a little bit about your upbringing and when you were a young man. I know you were a standout there at St. Mary's High, but going to Cal wasn't necessarily very high on your list when
Absolutely
it
not.
was time to come to Cal. And there's this
Not going there, kicking and screaming, don't want to go to Cal. Show me all the other applications because what I want to do is go as far away from home as possible. Look, I didn't want to go to Cal because my father was a visiting lecturer there in African American Studies Department and Political Science Department. My mother earned her master's in public health from the University of California at Berkeley. She also was a visiting lecturer there. She was director of public health nursing and in our county, Contra Costa County, Coco County. And I was not trying to be on campus and run into my dad and mother um, during lunch breaks or when I should have been in class when I was actually hanging out at Bancroft. Or, I didn't, Bears Lair. I don't want to be caught there. That's not how I want to see picking up a mug of beer and my mother walks in and said, boy, what are you doing? Didn't want to go that route. So I applied to all the other schools I possibly could. UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Davis, all those UCs in that way. I just was not coming to Berkeley. And I had opportunities to go to University of Washington, Washington State, Oregon State, all the other Pac-8 at that time teams, schools, because I played football. So I was looking at that as well and wasn't really heavily recruited. I got recruited by Harvard. I got recruited by Brown, but I wouldn't want to go there. I didn't want to go to Berkeley. Just was not happening. Fast forward, um, I'm sitting around waiting, hoping that I'm going to get a scholarship, hoping that it's all going to happen. Because my mother and my aunts, right before I graduated in '78, so right before they were due, we all got around the kitchen table and, I'm writing what my statement of purpose is, or at least I thought I was right. My hand was moving, but my mom and my aunts who were teachers. My aunts were teachers, so oh no, this is what it needs to be. Da da da. And then we marked the boxes: UCLA, UC Davis, and UC San Diego. And see, I think I'm done or whatever. Fast forward, I'm still waiting around to hear where I got into school. The male person would say, Ahmad, USC, Ahmad, Arizona, Ahmad, Brown, Ahmad, Harvard. I get the letters. I'm in, I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. She says, Ahmad, UC Berkeley. I was like, see Berkeley? Okay, yeah. Uh, what? I was like, wait a minute. UC Berkeley. I opened the letter. Congratulations. You've been accepted to UC Berkeley. I called my mother. I called my father. First talked to my dad. He said, that's great. Have you called your mother? I said, oh, give me a call. And I was crazy because no one was at home. So I was running around the yard, like, go to my neighbors, and they're not home, but I'm running around. It's crazy. And then I called my mom and said, hey, Mom, I just want to let you know, I got in UC Berkeley. She said, oh, that's great. It's fantastic. And as I'm rejoicing and all that, I said, Mom, I got to ask a question. I applied to UCLA, UC Davis, UC San Diego, oh, Santa Barbara. I said, how did I get into Berkeley? Oh, I whited out San Diego because I felt like it was too conservative for you to be down there as a young black man. So and I also heard that the reason why you want to go to San Diego because beaches and pretty women, and that's not a reason to go to school. I'm thinking you missed something. That is a reason to go to school. So that's how I ended up Berkeley. My mother used whiteout, and they had the little back then. You had this triple copy thing that you did. We didn't. There was no FedEx Kinko. There was no copy mat. You could just go and make a copy of something and change it or use. She had whiteout, and she whited out UC San Diego and marked the box UC Berkeley. That's how I got into Berkeley.
That is
Otherwise, I guess I'd be a surfer. I don't know, but I wouldn't play football for Cal. So that's what happened. That's how
well, I
I
mean,
ended up there.
that story just blows me away still,
Blew
right?
you away. Blew me
I mean,
away.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, there would be no bear territory. I mean, are you kidding me? There would be no
Gaucho
bear
territory, Santa Barbara. There you go. I got to work out something.
But I mean,
They would
we
have
have
me
like
rolling in on a horse with gauchos on. Go gauchos! Would
but
have been
there's
great for
this
you because you come from El Cerrito High School. They'd be like, hey, yeah,
that's so good. But I mean, it's like, you have this seemingly small little change that's made in the past, right? Has this
yeah,
ripple effect that just echoes out generations and generations far beyond, like the butterfly effect, like they call it, right? Just to think that we wouldn't be doing this podcast, right? We wouldn't know each other. The whole thing likely wouldn't be what it is if not for your mom whiting out UC San Diego. I love that story. It's so good. Thank goodness for your mom. Smart lady.
yeah, yeah, very smart. She was a bear. What do you want?
That's right.
Go Bears.
Well, I love that story. And then there's another pretty good story I know that you got queued up there about your time when you walked on the Cal football team. And you were lucky enough to play under head coach Roger Theater and Joe Cap. But can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to walk on to the football team and what exactly happened with your mom finding out about you playing
Yeah.
football at Cal?
So many folks may not know now. So I walked onto the team, and it was the first time in my life that I didn't have a practice to go to after 3 o'clock. Every time, in high school or junior high, it was go to practice. We'll pick you up. You're going to practice. There you're going to practice. Now, all I had to do was study. And I studied as best I could as a young man while I was there. And then I said, I just really got to try out for this team. I got to do football. I'm here at the University of California, Berkeley, and now with the Pac-10 and all these teams that I always wanted to play for or play against. I had this opportunity. So time goes by. I'm managing football,
with school. So I thought. And after my first quarter there, I went on academic probation. But I'm living at home. So it's not like I lived in the dorms and I could get on the phone and say, "Hey, how's school going?" "Oh, Mom, it's going, oh, it's great. Everything's great. I'm getting my classes. I meet a lot of people. It's great psychosocial development." I didn't know that my academic advisor would call the house to touch base with me about being on academic probation. Her name was Patrina Long. Hi, Patrina. Still great friends to this day. And Patrina calls the house and says, "Hello, is Ahmad there?" And my mother answers the phone and says, "No, he's not. May I take a message?" She said, "I'm his mother." "Oh, well, my name's Patrina Long. I'm with the Student Athletes Academic Advising at UC Berkeley, and I was calling to talk to Ahmad." She said, "Well, what's going on?" "Well, I was calling because Ahmad's on academic probation." You see, they didn't have HIPAA laws back then. They didn't have confidential laws back then. She could have called and said, "Your son is dating 9 women. He's holding all the great, he's doing all the toga parties. He went to Alcatel's and brought the kegger to the facilities, and they drank keggers all night." She could have told all that. Today, they mention anything about your personal business, it's a wrap. They just lost their job. So I get home, not knowing this conversation is taking place, and I walk in the house and I say, "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" She's in the kitchen. She said, "I'm good. Before you leave, I need to talk to you." "Yeah, Mom, I'm in and out. I got to go back to the campus. I got a study group. I need to, prepare for a test and meet with some friends of mine, blah, blah, blah." All along, my mother does not know I play football, and I don't know that my academic advisor has called the house. So I'm coming back down the stairs. I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I got to get back." She says, "I need to sit down, talk to me." So she sits down in a motherly way. She says, "So, son, how is school going? How are you doing?" "Mom, it's great. Oh, my goodness. I didn't want to go to Berkeley, but I'm having the time of my life. I meet so many people. It's just great, Mom. I'm glad you did what you did. But I gotta get back. I gotta study." She said, "Well, one other thing I need to know is, like, your academic advisor called here." And, and my mind is racing. My mind is wishing that I already had my degree at Berkeley so I could give the right answer and not get caught in the bear trap. And I say, "Oh, yeah, she told me a couple of things. One, you're playing football, and two, you're on academic probation." But I'm not really, really playing. I'm just, scout team trying to make the team and what have not. But that's why I'm with the academic advisor, because they'll get me right. She said, "I'm going to tell you one thing. You're going to have till this quarter to get it right. If you don't get it right," they told me, "you're going to be dismissed. And then we've got to figure out what you're going to do from there." I said, "Well, Mom, I got it covered. I got it covered. I'm working with these folks. I got to get back. This is why I came in, because I got to go study with the team. They have a system for me." And that was my first experience with my mother, knowing what I was doing at Cal. Not only playing football, but I wasn't doing academically well. The short end of that story is, obviously I went on to graduate, and now I'm on the board of directors for the Alumni Association. But the other part of the story was I got into Cal with a 700 SAT score.
Right.
And I ended up graduating with a B average, not only overall, but also in my major in political science. So it is possible. But I wouldn't advise you to have your academic advisor call the house, tell them to lose your number, first thing. Immediately after orientation, after you met your academic advisor, tell them, "Never call my own." Ever.
Just love that. I wish I'd been a fly on the wall to have seen that all transpire, but that was a great
There were some
story.
flies, but when my mother spoke to me, they all left. Whoa! They were like, "Oh, damn.
Oh, damn.
There's always going to be a problem. Let's go." I said, "What?" It was like a scary movie. All the flies just left. They just.
So good. Well, hey, you got to talk a little bit about your football career then at Cal because you worked your way up from a walk on to become a starter. And in fact,
Yeah.
you were a defensive captain in
Yeah.
the 1982 big game with the play.
Yes, I walked on. I became a starter. In fact, I walked on that same quarter that I was on probation. By the spring of that next year, spring of '79, I had become spring summer of '79 became a starter. The actual outstanding defensive back that was ahead of me, unfortunately, flunked out and he went on to do great things playing in the NFL and what have not. But I was his protege. He was quite the role model of how to play football, even my 5'9.5", 175 pounds. And I was just grinding. I called it guts, grinding, unity of the team, teamwork led to success and led me to become the defensive captain all the way till in '82 there. One of the defensive captains of that big game of '82. It's probably looking back at all the things that I went through from the trying to manage studies and trying to play football. One of the stories that's not really told behind it, then after that order of getting off of academic probation, I went to summer school every summer till I graduated. I not only did that, but I also became a peer advisor for other student athletes. I didn't want them to be pursuing the dream of finally making it to the NCAAs, playing at this level of college football and having those challenges. So I would take 12 units plus sit in 2 additional classes, pass on pass, take the notes, meet with graduate assistants, the head ones, get the gist of what was necessary, what people needed to study. And then I did that in the tutorials for some of the student athletes back then. And that was just giving back, right? I was successful and wanted to be able to share that. So it wasn't a nightmare to be at the greatest university in the land and playing out your dream in real life. And so being part of that team, um, having that opportunity from Roger Theater to Joe Clapp, 2 great coaches in my life and great friends, and God rest them, they both passed on. The relationship that I had then with the gentleman who played with the staff and athletic department was bar none, top of tops. Those relations still last today. I'm on a text message with 25 different guys that I played football with that were younger than I was when I was leaving, and then interim guys I played with, and then another separate text of guys I played with from the Garden State Bowl to the big game of '82. Everyone, Uncle Ahmad, all the kids look at me as Uncle Ahmad, and my kids look at them as Uncle Ahmad, Uncle so and so and so and so. The relationship's that close. Um, and it's the other side of going to the University of California that you meet so many diverse people, that you engage with so many folks. But that relationship through being a student athlete, it is the ties that bind forever.
Yep. No, I mean, that's just it's that shared experience that you're all going through, and these people become like an extension of your family. They become your
Yeah,
brothers and your sisters, and I mean, that's just
absolutely.
that's something that stands the test of time, as you can speak to for sure. Well, and that brings us to bear territory, right?
Yeah.
And I was so nervous the first time doing this show with you that I look back at it. I forgot to ask you, how'd you come up with bear territory? What inspired that?
Look, in spring, yeah, spring of '82, um, my brother calls me and says, "Hey, one of my professors that teaches at Dartmouth, my professor, he's coming to Cal. He teaches a class. It's jazz from Africa to New Orleans, and you need to be in that class." Professor William Bill Cole, and he said you'll enjoy it. I mean, you'll enjoy it. It'd be great. I was like, jazz? Well, my name is Ahmad Jamal. That Ahmad Jamal was one of the greatest jazz pianists to ever live in the world, in this country. And my parents listened to him. Not all the reason why they call me Ahmad Jamal. There's other reasons as well. But I was like, I got this. I love jazz. I can get into it. And I thought, huh, easy grade. I'll be able to sit and listen to music in the springtime in Donnell Hall. I'm set. Let's go. And so I get to the class. I introduce myself. Hey, Professor Cole, my name is Ahmad Anderson, and I'm Wilbert Anderson's brother. He said, and they call him Bert. He said, Bert. He was like, yeah, man. Bert is so cool. He had this goatee, little thin mustache, hair was just wild afro going everywhere, but real thin. And skinny dude's like, man, yeah, Ahmad Jamal. Oh man, that name is groovy, baby. You enjoy the class? I'm like, okay, let's go. Sat in the class. I said, Professor, what's required for the class? Because I'm good for writing a paper. Papers are how I got through. I mean, taking a test, now write a paper, booyah. I'm getting an A all day, no problem. So he says, you have to have a journal. Boom. Attendance got to be on point. Boom. We're going to talk about the music, all the different artists. We're going to sit in class and listen to music and talk about the artists because it's a storytelling, where the people came from, how they played it to the music. Boom, boom, boom. I said, is there a midterm? No. The midterm is you just turn in your journal, baby. You just turn in your journal. Everything you've learned in the class, you write about it. Talk about the artist. I said, oh, dude. I wanted to say, cool, baby. I said, cool, Professor. That's great. And then I said, well, what about the final? He said, well, here's the final. You've got to go up to the music library. And then you go to the music library. I'm going to have music there you're going to listen to. Hertz Hall. And then you listen to the music, and then you're going to come to the class for the final. And I'm going to play the music. You need to be able to identify the song, identify the artist, and tell a little background about the artist and how they came up with that song. Yeah, no, I'm out. I'm out. I got to listen to a song in a class, name the artist and the music, and talk about this artist. I'm out. I said, I'm not. He said, oh, baby, no, you got this. Just sit back and just evolve in the music. It's like, okay. So we get through this, and I get an A in the class. In fact, in that journal and through that class, it inspired me to understand that music and jazz and Africa, how they told stories through the music. And I'm listening to music, and I was thinking about where I was at that stage in my life. I was thinking I'm a Cal Bear. I was thinking about being on that football team. Thinking about the last 2 seasons I've been through, we had lost 2-9, 3-8. But everywhere we went, because we would listen to everybody else score touchdowns and listen to their bands, we didn't have a rally cry. There was Go Gators. Michigan was touching their banner. Even Army we played with, they'd have the song, and the cadets were in the audience there, but we didn't have anything. I said, but what is it about a bear? I said, mama bears are territorial. And we want to go out and show people how tough we are, how bad we are by our rally cry. And so I just started listening to music. And so it initially started like this, and I wrote it in my journal. And after listening to music at Hertz Hall and then listening to music in the classroom, it had this jazz feeling. It was like, you know it. You tell the story. You tell the whole damn world. This is Bear. You know it. You tell the story. I'm going to tell the story that this is Bear territory. Tell the whole damn world and come out the tunnel saying that and be able to share that. But by the time I actually got to the stadium, and I felt like I could share this with my defensive backs, and defensive backs have swagger. It went from jazz to, you know it. You tell the story. You tell the whole damn world, this is Bear territory. So now defensive backs, we popping the most, we flossing. Man, you can't touch us. And I introduced it to the team. And I introduced it to the team, and they were like, yeah, we got it. But my offensive line and defensive line loved them to death, but they didn't have the same swagger, keep on beat. So they were like, you know it. You tell the story. I was like, whoa, hold up, player. Hold up. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to, you know it. You tell the story. You tell the whole damn world it's Bear territory. And they were like, what? I said, what? They were like, what? I said, look, I'm going to say, you know it. And you go, what? You tell the story. What? You tell the whole damn world this is bear territory. Now, that call and response was very African. If you listen to African music, the call and response. If you listen to rap music, it's the call and response. If you listen to jazz, it's call and response. So we did it. We were like, you know it. I started to go, what? You tell the story? What? You tell the whole damn world? This is bear territory. I broke that out at the UCLA bonfire in 1982 at the Greek Theater. It was a game to remember. They won 43-31, but it was back and forth all day. So by the time the big game came about, and I walked into the Greek Theater, and I rolled out bear territory, it was thunderous. It was moving. It was motivational. It was inspirational, and has now become the rally cry for Berkeley.
Yeah.
Some people want to use it only when we're winning. But who is that? You're a winner as a Cal Berkeley student. The day you got admitted, the day you had the audacity to think that you could get into Berkeley, you were a winner. And winning is where you start. We don't play to lose, we play to win at Cal. And Bear Territory is that anthem and rally cry. It's not just for the students, it's for the staff that help us get through there. It's for the professors that have taught us, inspired us. And so it's students, staff, and faculty that make us the greatest university in the land, in the world. And so if you not walk around telling the whole damn story, then you need to get off the bus. Because this is Bear Territory, baby, all day, every day.
That's right. Well, I mean, like I've said, it's like, well, you just said it yourself. It's a rallying cry for the whole university. And
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. I mean, it is so tribal and primal. And it just gets you going, right?
Yeah.
There's just nothing like it.
Look, I'll
And
tell you, I just tell you, and sorry to interrupt you, but I just came from a political forum. And one of the guys who's in the audience walks up to me. I know him. I see him out and about in through city of Richmond. And he walks over to me and says, hey, Ahmad, how you doing? I said, I'm great. I said, how you doing? He said, you know it. And that's all he said. And if you walk up to people, if you have a Cal jersey on or a Cal t-shirt on, and there's two things you can say that knows that there's a connection, because you could do that to somebody who's a tourist and say, go Bears, and they'll look at you like, huh? And you're like, yep, that person go to Cal. Or you go to somebody and you say, you know it, and they're looking like, you know what? But if you walk up to somebody who went to Cal and you go, you know it, they say, you tell the story that you know is a Cal Bear all day, every day. Or you walk up to Bear and you hear somebody and they said, well, I attend the University of California, Berkeley. And back in the crowd, somebody said, go Bears. You know the story. You know they know the story. And they can tell the whole damn world that this is Bear territory.
no, I mean, even long before I met you and, I was just a student, and I remember that cheer just so vividly from, my college experience, and carried it with me ever since, right? For every football game, every basketball game, every Cal sporting event I've gone to, right? And,
Yeah.
being able to yell that out is just a feeling like no other. And we have you to thank for that. And you were inducted into the Cal Hall of Fame because of that. And I mean, can you tell us how that all came together, and what does that all mean to you to be in the Cal Hall
Look,
of Fame?
two great friends of mine, Andy Bark and Joe Cooper, they really felt like I was the model for inspiration. Not only when I played, and I won the most inspirational player award when I graduated in '82 for that team, but it was not just about me playing football. It was really bringing together, not only when I was in school, but even after school. I'm working at the university for 13 years in the College of Letters and Science, first being an academic advisor for student athletes, uh, on the admissions committee for special action and regular admissions for the university, served on the chancellor's committee for diversity, equity, inclusion before that was even being discussed, because that's what we know about the value of diversity at Berkeley is everything. Um, but having that relationship with those when I was a student and being that conduit between the student athletes, no matter what sport they were in, and then being in the classroom and being involved in student activities when people didn't know that I wore the number 33, or in fact that I played football. They knew that I was a student athlete because I participated in that way. And I bridged that gap so that folks that played as student athletes would be able to have a full experience. So it wasn't just my leadership and inspiration in the classroom, but my relationship of doing all I could do on the campus, being all I could be in the campus, and building relationship and partnerships on the campus. And that's why I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, for being inspirational and being a leader in the University of California, Berkeley.
And I mean, it's just so richly deserved. I mean, when I think about how the university uses that all over the place, and it's
Yeah.
just so incredible to see. I'm sure it brings so much pride to you to know that, it's going to live on centuries and centuries and centuries from now, right? People will always be yelling that out, and we have you to thank for that. I-
Well, that's funny you say that, brother. I mean, because some folks say, well, at some point people are going to forget. And I was like, this is not the case.
no,
That
not
is
with
not the
this.
case
No way.
at all.
No.
Bear territory is what we live and breathe as folks who, like I said, had the audacity to think that you could apply to the University of California at Berkeley, get through some of the greatest times, the toughest times, where you have to reach deep in your soul to be able to be successful. Because many of us came there with A averages or better, 4.0 plus, or in that range, or college prep students like myself who didn't do well on SATs, but had good grades to bring that to the table. And the first time we hit adversity, we sink and begin to question whether or not we're able to keep on keeping on. But the real Cal Bears, the ones have gone on to become the alumni, is when they hit that adversity, they say, so what? Now what? And life begins. And you pull that out and you communicate with others and you grind. You grind because you know you've been successful. The unity amongst that community of striving to be the best, that teamwork through study sessions, that teamwork from staff, the teamwork of studying, going to your graduate advisor to learn, leads to success. Grinding, unity, teamwork is success. That's guts, baby. That's bear territory. And if a bear can make it in the winter, then you'll see them in the spring. And that's
Right.
what we do as bears.
That's right. Well, hey, I gotta ask you about this because you take a look at your long and storied career in association with Cal, and now you are on the board of directors with the Cal Alumni Association. How did all of that come together?
I got a call from Cheryl Davis, who's the president of Black Alumni Association. And she said, Ahmad, I've been asked about joining the board, but I'm the president of the Black Alumni Association for Cal. And that's where I'm laser focused on. But I want to know if I could give them your name. And we talked about it for a minute. And I'm just very active in the community. And I would say, am I going to have time for this, et cetera, et cetera. And it was right after the pandemic. So I had some time on my hand. I'm transitioning from one job to the other. And I started thinking about it. And somebody said, nope, you don't want to do that. That's a lot of work to do nothing. There's no accolades to it. There's a lot of bureaucracy. And I said, I was a poli-sci major. That's right up my alley. I could do that. And so as life went on, I'd been asked previously and turned it down. But that was the moment. That was the moment. And so I have been the chair of the Achievement Awards, the Achievement of University Achievement Awards for our gala, recognizing the Alum of the Year. And I have been on the executive committee because I've been in charge of the personnel matters for the board. Looking at how we hire our recent hire now, John Clemay, as a new executive director. I look at how we go about doing performance reviews and making sure we have the right systems. But most important for me in the involvement is the scholarships we provide for our students. The scholarships we provide for our students, the opportunities to go to the Bear Lairs for our family and friends, the opportunity to engage the clubs throughout the world. So they're able to tell the whole damn world about not only their experience, but being able to be the recruiters at large for those next incoming Cubs that will be the baby Bears, and eventually the Golden Bears come to the University of California. Alumni engagement is everything. I think that by telling my story, I am one of the greatest recruiters to the University of California, Berkeley. I am one of the greatest folks that can tell you about resilience when your back's up against the wall, when you didn't think you were going to make it, but you did. From academic probation to now sitting on the board of the Alumni Association and having this great chant about bear territory and having this great passion and love is everything.
Well, I can't think of anybody who is a better, greater ambassador for the University of California, Berkeley than you, my friend. You are it. You are the living embodiment of
Thank you, brother.
everything. Yeah,
Love you for that. Appreciate you. And you made this possible. You made all this possible, you know?
We'll get into that on another episode because we know we're running a little short on time. But you are running for mayor of Richmond,
Yeah.
and anything you want to just be able to tell the people of Richmond? I know we already kind of touched on it a little bit, but why should they get out there to vote for you?
Well, first of all, in the world that we live in today, voting is not a privilege, it's a right. It's being challenged every day across this country. But one thing I know for sure is that for me, that your voice and your actions matter. Your voice and your actions as someone who's running for office, who's had parents who were also city council and mayors of the city of Richmond, that we do it because of the love of the city. But what's greater than that love for the city is the greatest love of all is love for the people that make it the city pride and purpose. That leadership and being the best of the best in that role is empathetic. And what is empathetic leadership? I'd say to it is listening to the people. Because as I may drive the vehicle, it is your navigation. It is where you want to land, is where I plan to take you. And it may not be the smoothest ride. We're going to have some valleys. We're going to have some sleet, some snow, some rain. But I know this, under my leadership, there will be sunshiny days because I believe in the people of Richmond. I believe in the progress and the future. And I believe in myself because Richmond raised me. And I am the native son of Richmond. And I want to always be known and reflect what it means to be the native son of Richmond, but also the model of pride and purpose.
I love that. I love that. What's that quote that your mom and dad laid on you about the rent?
The rent you pay is giving back to the community. When I leave here in my last days of living and breathing on this earth, I want to make sure that when doing the things I've done with Richmond, with the people of Richmond, that my rent is paid up in full.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, I only got one more question for you, and we
Yeah.
don't have time for because it's a big one. I've been waiting to ask you this one forever, right? Because we didn't do it during the first episode. We hadn't really settled on that. But a lot of featured guests that we've had on the show have had a lot of different great answers. It may be more than one. I'm certain it's more than one when it comes to you. But what? Tell everyone. Tell the whole damn world. What has been your bear territory moment?
I guess some would say based upon how I got into Cal with the 700 SAT and that, the greatest school in the world that I knew then and that I know now. But that's not it. Some would say maybe doing the Bear Territory chair, and that it's all over everything when you walk on campus. It's in letters you receive. It's the rally cry. That's not it. Maybe being part of the 82 team and all that it's led to, interviews and book interviews and being on ESPN and having great friends like Jeremy Staff and Simon and folks like that that work for ESPN. No, it's not that. The greatest time Bear Territory moment was in 1982, and we're playing UCLA, and we are on the south side of the campus, the end zone, and UCLA throws the ball up, and I go up in the air against Carmack, the magician, who they called him, wide receiver. And I go up and I grab the ball and wrestle it with one hand, and they called it dueling hands. I have the picture downstairs in our living room. It was on the front page of the Examiner. And I come down with it, but I'm out of bounds, but I have it in my hand, and the crowd just goes wild because I broke up the play and it came down in my hands and we stopped them from scoring a touchdown. I hear on the west side of the bleachers somebody going, Ahmad, that's my guy. That's my neighbor. That's my guy. That's my homeboy. And it was three guys that I grew up with. Three guys that I grew up with that went to Berkeley High. Mikey and Davey Wilder and Shooty Babbitt. And many of you know Shooty Babbitt played Billy Ball for the Oakland A's and went to Berkeley High. Outstanding student athlete, outstanding baseball player. But most of all, my friend. And to see out of all those people in the stands, looking up and seeing guys that I played sandlot football with and baseball with and basketball with long before I was going to end up at that schoolhouse on the hill playing football in Memorial Stadium. To see your best friends at the game cheering you on, it doesn't get better than that.
That's beautiful.
It doesn't get better than that. Because they knew me back when, when I fumbled the ball, when I missed the ball when it was thrown to me. And they still stayed there to be my friends. And now they're cheering me on at the place we all knew because they went to Berkeley and I went to St. Mary's. And they're cheering me on, the guys I know. And that's the only voices that I could hear, other than my mother. That's my Bear Territory moment.
I love it. I love it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And
And
Judy
hey,
Babbitt, he's now my neighbor here, right around the corner from me. So we've been friends forever in life.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you that ever since we first began, but you're the one, of course, you always take the Bear Territory moment questions.
Oh,
So
that's a question.
had to
Yeah, I
turn it
mean,
around.
it can't get better than that, man. That's your kids. You grew up with those guys, and your girls, and guys, and you're in there, and you come down the ball, and you look up, and you not only hear them, but you see them, and they're.
Right. Yep.
I've been waiting for all my life. I wanted to hear that,
Sure. Sure.
and there it was.
And there it
From my
was.
friends.
Oh, hey, brother, thank you so much for your time today. I loved all of this, and I love you. I love you, brother. So thank you so much
I
for
love
being
you
on
too,
this
Reza,
journey
and I
with
appreciate
me.
you, man.
Yeah, it's just
And it
it's
means more than life itself to be
so.
working with you,
Thank you.
but it's more than anything else to be your friend. And that it got me tearing up in the joint.
Boy, thank you so much. Well, I'm just gonna wrap things up here real quick, and hey, we just want to thank all of you so much for listening and watching. We appreciate you more than you know. As I noted way back in the teaser I did for this podcast, way back before it really got started, the idea has always been to create a stronger and more connected Cal fan community. And we hope we're doing our part to help make that happen. This podcast is entirely a labor of love and a reflection of how much we love our university. Please help grow this podcast by telling the whole damn world about us. If you're just listening to us, please check us out on YouTube and subscribe to us there. You can always go to tellthewholedamnworld.com to watch our latest episodes. We celebrate all things Cal and the prominent people who are passionate about the University of California. Do you feel Cal is the center of the universe? Do you bleed blue and gold? We want you to tell the whole damn world about it. Go Bears!
Go Bears.